Hi everyone, good evening. We are just waiting for 1 or 2 more minutes. Just few people are yet to join in. Whether there are any questions or queries, feel free to ask in the chat. Good evening to all. Alfaya, please go ahead. What's your question? Just drop it in the chat box. Good evening to all. By the way, I'll just share my screen. So we were at this particular phase where we were able to understand some visualization. We'll just wait for another 2 to 3 more minutes and then we'll start. So max to max by 7:05 we'll start with our session. By the time any questions, queries, please use the chat to respond. Sir, can you explain again? So on Friday, we understood how visualization work, how to load the data, what was the sample data to work with. So basically our understanding was more in terms of the data. In parallel to that, like if you drag a number, then what is the default visual that you will get? And if you drag a text, then what will be the output? If you drag a location. So basically we are more over understanding the visualization and we are trying to get comfortable with Power BI. Yeah, Kapil, please post your question in the chat. Okay. Yes, you can open the existing files if you have saved your file the last Friday. You can simply double click on it and you can open it directly. So because it's an offline version, you do not need any online access or any sign up required. You can just double click and access it. Any other parallel questions, please let me know. Okay, there are no more questions. Maybe I'll just wait for another more minute. We have around 177 participation. Okay, so time's up, guys. So let's get started with today's agenda. So basically, if I believe we had an assignment, and the assignment was that you guys would try to create some dashboard at your end at the my DB sheet. How many of you guys were able to perform that output? Please type yes in the chat box, and who are not able to do it, just type a no in the chat box. And I'm okay with both the answers. Okay, that's great, guys. That's great. So I could see 3 to 4 of them. No issues. As I said, it's totally fine. If you guys have done it, it's fine. If not, then it's fine. The only thing I will request is please do an attempt. So that would really help, because once you start doing a practical hands-on, you will understand exactly what are the things that you are able to do and what are not to be done. So it would really help if you could actually practically try this out. That would really be appreciated. Okay, coming back to our output here now. Let's say, for example, we did try with some sample data, with some sample outputs and all. So now let's understand a loading data. Let's understand loading data. So let me remove this particular page and let me get our data back to its original form. So this is where we had a sample data to work with us. We will be exploring sample data a little bit more, but for now, let's understand how to load. Because you will not be loading only the data from, let's say, Excel. You may be loading data from other alternative sources also. So in this situation, we'll be using a publicly available source to work with our output. So I would request all of you to please open your browser. Please open your browser and please type down World Happiness Report, Wikipedia. So just type in World Happiness Report, Wiki. Basically, we are going to pull or rather collate a data from the internet, and we'll see how to work it out. So I request all of you to please go to this website. There'll be the first link that you would be seeing for Wikipedia. Please click on that, and that will launch you to another Wikipedia page. Let me do that at my end as well. So this is a World Happiness Report for every year. As I scroll down, you would be seeing two interfaces. One is a description for every respective year. We are not concerned with the description. Scroll down further, you will be seeing something called table. You'll be seeing something called table. As you can see, this is the year 2020 table. Click on show and you could see the data is not yet uploaded. So we do not want this. Let's pick up 2020. I can see 2020's data there. I open it and I can see the data here. Reach to this particular point. Reach to this particular point and please type that. Let me post the link in the chat for your references. Sure, I'll do that. I'll repeat again. So go to Google, type down Wikipedia World Happiness Report. This is basically what you need to type in. Take a minute. Let's not rush into it. I'll take a pause here. Okay. Once you click on the first link, you'll be brought down to the second page, which is a Wikipedia page. Scroll down, look for 2020 report, and then open the table. There will be two. One is description. We are not concerned with the description. We are concerned with the table. So please come to table. Reach to this point and please type done in the chat box. Okay. Yes, we'll be opening the year 2020. We'll be opening the year 2020. Okay, okay. We're just waiting for others as well. Alfia, please go ahead. What's your question? Please post it in the chat. Okay, go ahead. You can unmute yourself, Alfia. But if it gets chorus, guys, I'll be sure that I'll be muting everyone again. So just unmute whoever I'm spelling out the name. So Kamija, go ahead. What's your question?
Sir, where we can see the table?
So if
I'm not finding it.
yeah, if you see on the right side, so you would be reaching to a point where you would see 2020 report, right? So once you see
Yes,
2020
sir.
report, you scroll down, you will be seeing an option called table. On the right side, there is a show button. If you click on it, it will open up the table for you.
Yeah, sir. Got
Okay.
it, sir.
Cool,
Thank
cool.
you.
Welcome. Alfia, if you're there, please unmute. If not, then I'm lowering your hand. Okay, I take there are no questions then. Okay, coming back to the output now. In this particular situation, we need to pull this data into Power BI. And I would be using this data to make some standard reports into our BI report. Now, how do I do that? So I'll copy this URL. So basically, you can also pull data from internet directly as well. So I would request all of us to please copy the URL from the browser address. Copy the URL. I'll again paste it in the chat box for everyone's reference. Once you have copied it, come to your Power BI report. Come to your Power BI report. Now here, I want to load that web data. I would like to load that web data. So what I do here is, under Home tab, there's an option called Get Data Dropdown. There's an option called Get Data Dropdown. Now this particular button or this particular dropdown allows you to fetch the data from multiple sources. As you can see, there is Excel, SQL. There are other platforms already predefined over here. I can go to Get Data and I can choose even more options from this list. I can choose even more options from this list. Now, from this particular drop down, I can go for more options which will allow me to have a list of options that I want to work with. Let's say things which is not even a part of the list here. Let's say like Google Analytics, Sales Navigator, Azure Database, and lot many more. In our case, we would like to refer for a website, right? So we already have the data here. So we'll just click on this particular source, that is web, and ask me for a URL based interface. Let me repeat this again. Step 1, I'll copy this URL. Step 2, I come to my Power BI, get data. Step 3, click on web and then just paste the URL over here. Please complete till here. At every phase, I'll request you to respond so that we know exactly we are at the same pace. Complete till here and please type done in the chat box at this phase. Great, great. I can see thumbs up. That's good. Great, great. Now, once you're done till here, once you're done with this particular phase, I would request all of you to click OK. So what you're doing here is you are asking Power BI to scan that particular website and whatever source it is able to fetch to provide that list. Now, some of us may see an interface, a block appearing, okay, for let's say something like anonymous, window login, something like that. In such situation, I would request all of you to please click on anonymous. Anyone who get the interface, not a navigation. So some of us may get the navigation interface, some of us may get some another difference. Yeah, sure, I'll do that. Let me cancel this. So the first step was get data. So before that also, please copy the URL. Please copy the URL. Once the URL is copied, come to your Power BI, get data from web. So after clicking on web, a panel appears. Paste the URL, and click OK. Post this, there would be a box appearing called connecting to like anonymous, window login, domain login. So whichever is needed. In our case, just click on anonymous, the first option, and click connect. Click OK or connect. As soon as you do that, you'll be taken to a navigation interface where you will be seeing a list of tables here. Once you are able to see the entire table, one below the like table 1, table 2, table 11, table 12, please type same in the chat box. Once you see similar interface like mine, please type same in the chat box. In my system, such window is not displayed. So Namita, click OK and just confirm the source. Confirm the source, it will show you the tables directly. Just give it a try. Let me know if it is not working. Okay, perfect. When I am pasting the link, it's not showing the report. Post pasting the link, you have to confirm. You have to proceed further with OK so that the Power BI platform can search the path. So on get data, you should be getting the drop down. Once you click on the drop down, you should be getting that data source. I repeat, please click on the drop down, not on the button. So when you click on the drop down, you get the list of options like this where you have web at the bottom. Oh, ignore it. So if it is, let's say, from the browser, once you scroll down, once you come down, the first section is description. Come further down, then there is 2020 report. But for now, don't ignore that. Even if it is not visible, the data would be captured. So just copy the path, come to your Power BI, paste the path here and confirm it. Manoj, I hope that answers your question. Yeah, okay, good. Okay, perfect. So we will be loading the data from an internet source. Let's say in this case, you can also refer the same process for even API. Let's say in future, if you are getting an API based output or web based output, you can perform the same. Sandeep, any question? Okay. Now, once this table appears, now the challenge here is I'm not sure which of this table or which of the data was for 2020. Now, I am familiar because I've used this particular data before. But in your case, this is where pre-preview helps you a lot. By clicking on the table, now this is a one-time activity that you will have to perform. You'll have to click on the table and have a view exactly what data are you loading. In this case, if you realize I'm not using the checkbox, I'm just clicking on the name of the sheet to identify whether the data I'm capturing is the correct one or not. In this case, I would request all of you to please click on table 11. Don't check it on, just click on table 11. Looking at the table, what do you think? Which year report is this? Where you're only getting the country name and nothing else. Yes, exactly. This is for the year 2022 because in 2022, the data was not uploaded. So basically, in that case, I am assuming 2013 because 2022, there was no data. 2021, the data was not there. And from 2013, like 2020, the data was there. So basically 1 year after. So if you click on the year on the table 2000, like table 13, you will be seeing the data being presented. And this is exactly the data we're about to load. Namita, yes, click on connect to continue further. Now, once you are at this particular stage, once you click on table 13, it gives you a pre-preview of the data that you're about to load. It gives you a pre-preview of the data that you are about to load. Let's confirm this. Now, to confirm the source, just activate the checkbox and that gets confirmed. Activate the table checkbox and that gets confirmed. Now, how do I know it's confirmed? You can see at the bottom, there is a button that gets activated called load. At the bottom, there is a button called load gets activated. In a way, letting me know now the source is available to load into the data. Once you see this button, you can click on load directly and that should launch my data into Power BI directly. That should launch table 13 into my Power BI directly. So basically loading data into Power BI is very easy if you know the right path, if you know the right source. If this was a live data also, it could have captured the record. Let's say if in case you are using INR currency conversion data, where you want to understand whichever selected, you need to have that conversion. You can use this data for that purpose. So any live data, if you want to pick up, you can do that and you can work with that report. I would request all of you to please complete till this phase. load table 2013. Sorry, load table 13 into your data. You should be seeing something like this on your screen. Table 13. I'll just add a new sheet. I'll name it as WHR, that's World Happiness Report. And I repeat the same for the sheet over here as well. That's World Happiness Report for me. Yeah, it takes some time, not but majorly. It should be done faster. Give it some time interval, but it will be done. Shruti, any question? Insha, okay, I will see to it that I speak a bit slower so that if my voice has a hiccup, so it will be covered. So I'll see to it that I go a little bit slow. But again, if anything that was missed out, if anything was not understood, let me know. I don't mind repeating it. So complete till here first. The simple process, I repeat again. Just go to home, get data, click on web, paste the URL, paste the URL, select table 13, and then load it. Post loading, just add a new sheet, WHR, and then rename the table as WHR also. Or in this case, to make a difference, let's say I'll just make it WH report. So World Happiness Report. Yeah, Anusha, tell me what's your question. You can unmute yourself. Or you can post your question in the chat. Good evening. Okay, please send. Sorry, we are not allowed to share our contact details. I apologize for that. But definitely, my colleague Amar, would you mind please putting up the email ID in the chat?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. So, Amar, any questions, any queries that you have, please post it on this email ID. We will be at the receiving end. Me and my colleagues will be there. Definitely, we'll be helping you with that. Thank you, Amar. Yeah. Yes, guys. So once we have this data, I would request all of you, before we start playing with the data, have a look into it. Just come to World Happiness Report, come to the data view and have a look into it to have a feel. Like what exactly is the data, what is everything, so that when we start working with, we have a heads up of exactly what's the data all about. Try it out, have a glance, have an understanding, and just start done in the chat box so that we can start. Power BI Desktop is a free software. You can use it directly. You just have to download it and access it right away. Priya, it should. Can you just share your screen if possible? Apeksha, go ahead. What's your question? You can unmute yourself. I'll wait for 15 seconds. If no response, I'll just move ahead then. Okay. Now, once we understand the data, so basically what is this data all about is we have location with us. We have score based on the location. We have GDP per capita in, let's say, value or in percentage, let's say. We have social support, healthy life expectation in percentage, freedom to make life choices, generosity, and percentage of corruption. These are the informations that I have right now in our system. Okay. Now, how do I portray or how do I put this into a data? First and foremost, I want to rename this particular column, country, or region into just one label called country. So I'll double click on it and I remove all region out of it. That way, I'm able to complete this tag as country. That's part. Yes, sorry. Kamju, please go ahead. What's your question? You can unmute yourself.
Sir, can you repeat it again?
Sure.
Please, sir.
Basically, we have these columns, right? Country or region. So what I want here is I want to first rename them or make these columns a proper data set. So for that, what I do is I can simply double click on the existing column. Now, if I'm in the data view, if you remember, we had three views. One is report view, and second is data view, and the third is model view. If I'm in the data view, I can just double click on the existing column and I can rename it. In this case, I'm replacing country or region and I'm replacing it with country. If you are in the data view, in the report view, in that case, just open the tab here, open the particular fields here, just double click on the heading region and you can make the necessary changes directly. This way you are able to rename or reset the column names directly. Okay.
हेलो
Yes.
सर एक्चुअली जो डेटा है ना वो लोड होते टाइम मुझे ये ऑटो रिकवरी कंटेन सम रिकवर्ड फाइल्स दैट हैवंट बीन ओपन्ड ऐसे बोल रहा है.
Acha, see that message is because it means that maybe in the last session when you are using Power BI, you might have terminated your Power BI without saving it. So whatever was not saved, it is actually giving you an option that if you want to recover it, you can do that.
Okay.
So that's the message basically. So you can click on view recovered file and then you can see the file. And if it is important for you, you can keep it. If it is not, you can discard it.
ओके ओके.
Yeah.
एंड ये जो अभी हमने लोड किया ना वो वाला मुझे दिख नहीं रहा है. वहां पे भी लोडिंग में वो मतलब टेबल वगैरह दिख रहा है 13 पर वो लोड नहीं हो रहा है तो वो उसकी वजह से नहीं ना हो रहा.
No, not because of that. So basically on the right side, if you see, there would be a greater than icon. If you click on that, you would be able to see all the headings and fields. So after access, you have to open the tables first.
Okay, fine. I'll check it once again.
Cool, cool. Perfect, perfect. Now, coming back here, guys. So in this case, once the data is loaded, now the second phase. Now, as I said, Friday we were getting comfortable with the software, and now we are comfortable with the software. So today we'll be understanding a proper way of defining the data and using it properly. And for that purpose, we'll be using this first data set. Starting with the first one, country. We have country with us, and I know for a fact this is a geolocation. I want to let my Power BI also know that this is a geolocation data. Now in Tableau, you might be familiar that on the top, just by changing the globe, you have that functionality. Or by changing the drop down, you specify state, location. Based on that, the output changes. Moreover, the concept is same, but here things are like a direct frame. How does it work? Is on the right side, there are fields or there are columns. You click on the column. I repeat, you do not activate the checkbox. You just click on the column. And once you click on the column, a voluntary tab appears called column tools. A voluntary tab appears called column tools. In that voluntary tab, column tools, there are sections. Now, what is my referring as sections? I already mentioned at the bottom, there are names, right? So there's a section called properties. Property basically means the property of the data or property of the file, property of the column. In this case, I'm selecting the column. So the property of the column is what I'm getting, column tools. First thing is data type. So you can see the data type is text over here. Definitely a geolocation has to be a text. Secondly, the data category. The first parameter, you can ignore it. Do not sum. Keep it as it is. The category which is important for us is data category. Under data category, you can see that there are list of options which belongs to geolocation. There are list of options that belongs to geolocation. In this situation, you can specify a location, specify a parameter. Now I know that this is country, so I select country in this case. Please don't get confused between county and country. This is COUNTY, county. And this is COUNTRY, country. These are two different things. County is moreover like in US and UK situations where sub-province or state levels are referred as county. In this case, let's go with country. Click on it. Take a pause for 2 to 3 seconds. Take a pause for 2 to 3 seconds and you would see a globe icon appearing next to country, indicating now that Power BI also recognize this as a geolocation. Indicating us that even Power BI now recognize this as a geolocation. Please confirm it till here. Once you're done till here, please type done in the chat box. Okay, great. Awesome, guys. Now, how do I confirm? Okay, let me just go with the question. So, doing that means okay. No, yeah, nothing as such. So even if that's a name, let's say in this case, before even if so okay, so give you a simple point. If this was not tagged as a country, if it was not tagged as a country, but if the location inside was a geolocation, Power BI recognizes it automatically. If you remember, under sample, we had country. We dragged and dropped it, it still worked directly, even though it was not tagged as a geolocation. When you tag it as a geolocation, you are telling or you are rather guiding Power BI to understand exactly which geolocation is it. Is it a state? Is it a country? Is it a province? So that helps you to build the data accordingly. I hope that answers your question. Okay, perfect. So to give you an answer. So let's say, for example, in this case, let's plot the data. So I request all of you to click on the map, which is the fourth visual. So first visual from the fourth row. First visual from the fourth row, the map. Let me show you the difference in this case. So when the visual is there, so your fields are activated. So you have longitude, location, latitude, all those informations are here, right? In this case, we drag country into the location. And you would be seeing dot getting plotted for each and every country. Please try it out at your end, and you would be seeing a lot of dots across the globe. Lot of dots across the globe. Is it the same for all of us, guys? Yes? Perfect. This way, at least the data is able to understand the location, right? But let's say, for example, it was supposed to be tagged somewhere else. Let's say if it is represented. Now, if any of your visual looks something like this, let me just select that. If any of your visuals are looking like this, just select few dots. Select few dots. It means you have selected the location as wrong. You have tagged the location as county and not country, because if you hover the mouse over India, you would see it shows South Korea, which is a wrongly tagged situation, right? Because it is considering sub-province. Maybe in that location or in that range, there might be South Korea, and that's how it's actually tagging county over there. If I try to zoom in further, I would be seeing the location where it is tagged as South Korea. So in this case, this is tagged as South Korea. To make the to make the correct linkage or to make the correct tagging, just go to the drop down and make the necessary changes to country. The same is applicable for other parameters also. Let's say if it is state, province, just tag them correctly and it will plot it directly. Worst case situation. Let's say I'm not even familiar what is the data. Is it a country? Is it a province? I'm not sure. In that case, just tag it as a place. Just tag it as a place, indicating that's a location. So Power BI understands, or Power BI goes to the data, and to the best of Power BI's effort, it tags the location accordingly. So after changing the icon, I have added a visual onto my screen, the map, and I've dragged country into the location panel. I've dragged country into the location panel. Okay. Okay. Now, once we are done till here, so we understand how the data is being plotted, right? But let's say I want to show GDP as well. I want to show GDP in this particular attribute or in this particular variable. So as I scroll down, I see location. As I scroll down, there is an element called bubble size. Bubble size is basically all these circles are equal right now. All of these circles are equal. Let's say I want to show this circle a little bigger or smaller. So in that case, what I can do is I can use GDP into bubble size. That way, the value where it is bigger or huge, the bubble size will be bigger, and where the value is smaller, the bubble size will be lower. In a way, indicating whichever area is higher and lower. Whichever area is higher and lower. But as you can see, the bubbles are too much cluttered. But before that, I want all of us to complete till here. So request all of you to complete till this phase, and please type done in the chat box. I'll wait for 30 seconds to a minute max. Perfect, perfect. So this is how easy it is to plot the data if you have the correct database. Now, in this case, I want to reduce the bubble size here. These are very big bubbles. Perfect, perfect. Now, to reduce this bubble size, what I do here is, firstly, you have to click on the visual. Without clicking on the visual, this functionality will not work. Okay. So click on the visual, because once you click on the visual, the brush appears. The visualization formatting appears. Once the brush is open or once the brush is active, you'll be seeing a feature called bubbles. If you open it, there is a size element which says negative 10%. Right? In this case, just reduce this, let's say 23 or 25. That way you are able to arrange the bubble size to the best fit possible. Give it a try at your end. You just have to come to the brush feature, come to bubble, open it. So it would be collapsed. Just use the greater than symbol to open it. And under size, you can either punch the number directly or you can use a slider. So depending on your screen size, play around with the slider. In your case, if it's a colored bubble, in that case, you might have dragged country or location in the wrong label. So if country is been added into the legend, every circle will be of different color, because legend, as I mentioned earlier, if you remember, in the first report that we discussed, anything that you drop in the legend is for color bifurcation. So in this case, anything that you drop in the legend is been based on color. So every country is being colored. That's why legend has that value. So if you remove the legend, automatically all the colors will go back to normal. Prajakta, I hope that answers your question. Okay. Perfect. Once you are done till here, basically now I can play around the information a little bit. Let's say in this case, I'll take a pause with this visual. Let me squeeze it on the left side. I'll keep it at the first left. Now, the best part here is there are 4 types of map that you can play with. This is just one part of the info. The map that we created is just one part of it. There are additional 3 more that you can play around. And depending on the kind of output you want to play, you can actually put in those information. So let's try some additional more as well. So in the second visual, in the second frame, I would request all of us to click on fill map. That's the second version or the second layer of map chart. Please click on it. Basically, fill map is going to fill the area. That is the purpose of fill map. The concept, moreover, remains the same. Under location, drag country. And in this case, you may not put value. It's almost the same. You may or may not put the value. It's almost the same, because end of the day, the purpose of the visual is to fill the color. Give this a try at your end, guys, and let me know if you are able to see the same color effect. As of now, because it's just one location, like been plotted across with no subtitles, there is same color. But if you want to see different colors, simply drag country, drop it into legend, and you would see the difference happening. Try it out. So there are multiple ways. As I repeat again, there are multiple ways to present a visualization. It's all about how we portray it. I have a question. What are the filters and boundaries? So there is no filters as of now we have applied, but in this case, if you apply the filter has its own role. Let's say I only want to see the top 10 countries or bottom 10 countries. In that case, you will use this particular filter option. Where there are collection, again, we will be looking into it maybe on a future state. Let's say I want to see just top 10 just to show you. And if I click apply right now here, based on a value, let's say I'll pick up based on GDP. So now if you see on the left side of the first map, only 10 countries are visible, which are the top 10 countries based on GDP. So filter is to apply filter into such contents. So as of now, we are not applying it because our data is fresh data. We have not started much with it. Gamju, I hope that answers your question. Okay, okay. Completely here, guys. So your screen should have two maps. One is a map with dots on it. Second, a map with a filled area on it. Please type done once you're through till here. I'll take a pause of a minute max. Yeah, Leela, tell me what's your question. You can unmute yourself. Sorry. Okay, okay. What is default? The default canvas size would be anywhere around, let's say, -12. And if you want to set it as default, you can just put it -12 directly. So default canvas size, but in that case, it's on a ratio-based output. It's not actual canvas size. Because depending on the bubble size, the canvas changes in ratio. So, okay. Field map is basically a map that covers the entire area. So let me explain the field map once again. So in this case, as you can see here, let me just extend the whole thing. So in this map, what you see here is a fill map. And the purpose of the fill map is to fill the area with a color. So if you see the parameters that I've used is only country, okay? Under location, I've dragged country, and under legend also I've dragged country. Let's say if I had sub-province, I would have dragged, let's say, sub-province in the location and country into the legend where every country would have been colored. For example, if India has a sub broken down section of Delhi, Maharashtra, then in that case, I would have dragged that in location. So Delhi, Maharashtra would have been tagged with one color, and then dragging country into the location indicating in India, these are the subsections. So basically it shows you with color, it fills it up with color. One color for one location. I hope that answers the question. What's a fill map for? Amol, please go ahead. What's your question? Okay, I take there are no questions then. Cool. So once you understand fill map, basically I repeat again, there are 4 types of map that you can use. One of them was standard map. The second one is fill map, the one that we are using right now. Let me fit it to the screen. And there we go. That's my second visual in this case. Request all of you to please complete it and type done in the chat if you are through. Great, guys. Next part. Okay, so the third version of map. Now, this map is something that is not useful right now unless you have the map JSON. But as it is good to be aware, so that's why I will be showing this map for you guys. Although as of now, you will not be able to implement it because for that, you will need to have the shape, or simply put, you will need to have the JSON files. We do not have the JSON files now, so we'll be avoiding it. So to use these maps, you will have to first click on the shape map. By default, there are some predefined location already added. You can use those ones. But apart from that, if you want to specifically look for an information, you'll have to add the JSON file. I will show you how to do it. But as of now, we'll not be plotting data into it. Okay. The only data that we will have to plot is the location, because without having a data, the map does not get activated. So here is how we go, guys. First, we click on shape map. We drag country into location. We drag country into location. Automatically, the map visible. The map shows itself. The map shows itself. But the only thing is, it will show only one map for us, one country map. It does not show you the entire world map or something like that, because the globe, or in this case, Power BI is configured accordingly. Power BI is configured that way. Now, if in case you have a JSON file, you can come to the brush here under formatting. And here under map settings, you can upload the JSON file. I repeat, we do not have the files right now. This is just for learning purposes. I'm sharing it across. Okay, so to do so, first we will select a shape map. We'll select a shape map and we will have to drag country into the location to activate it. You may have a question that where do we use this? The simplest answer to this question is whenever you are looking or whenever you want to plot a specific data location. Let's say, for example, I only want to show India data province, sub-province, taluka, district. In that situation, I will use the field map, because field map allows me to go to a granular level, to a point of postal code. Using field map, or in this case shape map, it allows me to go to a point of postal code location, to that small granular level. For example, if I'm in Delhi, I can actually map or tag it to Connaught Place. If I'm in Mumbai, I can tag it to Bandra or Thane. If I'm in Bangalore, I can tag it to UB City. So that level, or to that granular level, I can tag it using the shape map, and I can show only Bangalore, only Hyderabad, only Delhi. That is the purpose of shape map. But definitely it needs effort, because you will have to make that shape first using a JSON file. I hope that answers your question. Okay, some of us are not having shape map on your screen. Now, this reason for not having shape map is because, if you remember, under file, under options and settings, we have turned on the settings. If you have not done that, then shape map will not be visible. If you have not done that, then shape map will not be visible. Okay. Now, how to upload? Again, I repeat this. I'm just showing this for your knowledge. But in case, let's say you get a JSON file, let's say when you are working for a company, companies may have JSON files with them. And if you have a JSON file of your location, let's say Canada, Germany, whichever location you are working for, you can simply click on the settings only after loading location. Without loading a location, map does not get activated. I repeat this again and again. Under brush, you come to settings, map settings, and here, as you scroll, there is a locations drop down. You can specifically select each and every location of your choice. But let's say if the location is not there, you can come down to the last option called custom maps. You can come down to the last option called custom map. This will allow you to upload. This will allow you to upload a JSON file here to work with it. For example, I have a JSON file with me. So let me just give you a demo. You guys will not have it right now. So I'll just show you a demo of how it will look like. So let's say if I open a JSON file here, let's say India, yeah, let me just copy this and yeah. So let's say I put it over here, okay? And this is just to show you guys, I repeat, I'll not be sharing this file. So just to show you guys, just to get an understanding how this works. Okay. So these are all the JSON files which is available. As you can see, there is country and specific country has their own JSON file. Let me start with India. So India state levels are there and district level informations are there, right? So I copy this. I come to my map. I come to custom. As soon as I click on custom map, there is a browse functionality over here. I click on browse and I'm redirected to the path. Let me paste the path here. And let me select, let's say, state level output. I'm selecting state level India map. I click open and automatically state of India map gets plotted. Let's say similarly, if I go down again, I click on browse and I get district level JSON file. Automatically the file will show me a district level. I know Kashmir is not there because that plot was not done during the time. But now if you see, it's on a granular level information. A minute detail or minute level of information is also represented in this particular data. So to that granular level, the map gets plotted. That's how a shape map is used. I hope that clarifies, guys, how a shape map works in this case. Yes or no in the chat would do. Perfect, perfect. Guys, don't worry. The attendance will be shared by 8:30. So you will have to wait till then. To mark your attendance, you'll have to at least be present in the attendance. Around 75% of the session, you'll have to be there. Pandu Turak, please go ahead. What's your question? You can unmute yourself. Okay. I take then there are no. I can't hear you guys. You're saying anything. Okay. Okay, to answer your question, what is a JSON file? JSON files are scripted files with access, let's say matrix output. So these are scripted based files. So you can use it direct. So it's available. Some of them are available online. Some of them will be provided by your companies. So those are JSON files which will be shared with you guys when you're working on that. Okay, yeah, perfect. The next one is the simplest one, which is connected directly through internet. But for this, you need internet connection. To use this particular map, you need internet connection. And the map that I'm referring is ArcGIS map, which is in the last row, second visual. Which is in the last row, second visual. Click on it, and that will simply plot the area location directly. For this, you need login if in case you want to have the data directly. If not, just drag country into the location and the map will plot itself automatically. The map will plot itself automatically. The benefit of this map is that you are allowed to trace, or you're allowed to select on the map. You can draw on the map, and in the map itself, you can do a lot of analysis. So this map is online, but this requires subscription and signups. This requires subscriptions and signups. So these are the types of map that we use throughout our Power BI content or Power BI development phase. There are many other maps also, like from the example, if you remember the demo, the starting, there was a map that we used where import and export was visible. That is called as a flow map. For those maps, you will have to download those maps separately. But definitely you can use those maps as well to work it out. Yeah, Shiv, tell me what's your question? So to download the map, you don't have to do anything. You just have to click on these icons over here. There's the map over here. Fill map is there. So let me highlight and show it to you guys to make things easy for you guys. So guys, the first one is normal map. Second is fill map. Third is shape map. And the last one was ArcGIS. So these are the 4 maps that we have used over here. These are the 4 maps that we have used over here. To download, if you are referring to the download of JSON files, yes, you can download it from internet, but you'll have to be careful when you're downloading them. Some of them may not be dependent sources. You need to be very careful when you're loading them. So to get the shape map, you'll have to go to file first. To get the shape map, you'll have to go to file, options, under options and settings. If you remember, under security, we had to check the options on. One of the options was shape and field map. So if you turn them on, this map would be visible for us. So let's rename this as maps. I hope everyone is clear with these 4 maps. If yes, please type a yes in the chat box so that we can proceed further with the next output, which is scatter plot. If you are clear with these 4 maps, please type yes in the chat so that we can proceed with the scatter plot. ArcGIS map is an advanced map which allows you for more analysis and analytics. Basically, you can do a drill down, you can study the data, you can zoom in, zoom out. Lot of functionalities are there. But the only thing is, for that, you will need the login credentials and all those details. I repeat again, the third map, which is the shape map, it will only be provided unless you have activated it. If it is not activated, it will not be visible. Just have a check whether you have activated the shape map option. If not, please make these changes. So there is ArcGIS logins are there. So ArcGIS provides a login. It's a subscription-based map. You can subscribe it. So you can use a subscription. Basically, let's say, for example, if you are using ArcGIS, you can also build an entire building. And in that building also, you can plot longitude and latitude. And then when you click on that particular location, it can plot the data. For example, let me give you an example. So these can be done for 2 things. Okay, even shape map can be used for that purpose. But let's say you have a building where CCTV cameras are there. So using ArcGIS map, what you can do is you can actually show a building, and whenever you click on a camera, it actually redirects to that floor and redirects where exactly that camera is. That's where the ArcGIS map gets utilized. I hope that answers your question. Where can an ArcGIS map be used? Yes or no? Okay. Great. So let's move down to the next visual now. So please add up a new sheet. To make changes third map, guys, you will have to come to the settings. So you'll have to first click on the map, add a location, and then under the brush, you'll have to make the changes under map settings. There you will find it. Field map is used whenever you want to fill up an area, like province, sub-province, that's where field map is used. Let's say a simple example would be, let's say this is an entire globe, right? But if I want to mark this entire globe into sections like EMEA, Asia Pacific, in that case, I'll be using a fill map. So fill map will mark Asia Pacific, EMEA, all those areas, and within those areas, a respective country will be highlighted. The continents, basically. So Siddiqui, as I said again, and this was something I guess we discussed the last Friday as well. So Tableau and Power BI both has their own pros and cons. It's all about which software the company is willing to start with. If I have to generally say, I can recommend Power BI would be the easiest one because it's freely available. You can practice it. There is no time limitations. You can simply dump the data. And the second benefit is Power BI also gives you a tool called Power Query, which is to clean the data, which apparently Tableau does provide, but it's a paid subscription. Something called Tableau Prep, right? In Tableau, there are two software. One is Tableau Pro and Tableau Prep. Tableau Pro is basically the software which you use for visualization. And Tableau Prep is something that you use to data cleansing. But these are two different softwares that you will have to download. But when it comes to Power BI, you just have to download one software which has everything in it. Adding to that, it's freely available. You can play around with it with no cost. So, but again, so as I said, both has their own pros and cons depending on what pro is supportive to you and what cons are not supportive to you. You can play around with the softwares. Okay, it's coming back here, guys. So let's rename the third sheet now as scatter. Let's rename the third sheet as scatter. And let's start plotting the data in this case. Now, what's a scatter plot? Scatter plot is basically representing numbers and information across a X and Y axis. So let's see how it works. First and foremost, where is a scatter plot? In your visualization section, the third visual in the third row is a scatter plot. The third visual in the third row is a scatter plot. Requesting all of you to please click on it and fill the screen entirely. As it is the first visual, we'll fill the entire screen with a scatter plot. Please dump it. So in this case, you will be having value, x-axis, y-axis, legend, size, play axis, and tooltip. These are the parameters you'll be getting for the scatter plot. These are the parameters that you will be getting for the scatter plot. Kamju, tell me what's your question?
Sir, where we can see the scatter?
It's in the
I'm
third
not getting
third
it.
visual. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Once the scatter plot is here, we need to understand the scatter plot is not like a bar chart or a column chart where you provide or where you put a variable and based on the variable the data are plotted. In scatter plot, majority times numbers are plotted in x-axis, number are plotted in y-axis. Based on that, the values have been predefined. For example, let's say overall rating is there and GDP is there. I need to understand the correlation between these two parameters. Now, what is the meaning of correlation? Probability, you can put it in that way, or correlation matrix. Let's say, for example, if you go to a shop and you buy a ink pen, what's the probability of you buying a ink bottle as well? Right? The correlation between an ink pen and an ink bottle. That's what scatter plot can give you the understanding. For example, in this case, let's drag GDP into the x-axis, overall rating into the y-axis. Drag GDP into the x-axis, overall rating into the y-axis. Do you all see a single dot in the center of the screen? If yes, please type same in the chat box. If yes, please type same in the chat box. Great, great. Now the reason being is that GDP is getting aggregated and overall rating is also getting aggregated. Because if you hover the mouse on that particular dot, it shows you the GDP is 132.92. That is a total GDP of all the countries. The total GDP of all the countries. Similarly, overall rating, it shows 11781. That's an overall rating, right? Is the total of overall rating, which is wrongly presented right now. I want every country to be plotted. So what we have to do is we'll have to drag country into the value so that all the circles are individually plotted on the screen. All the countries are individually plotted on the screen. And now you can see a scatter getting created onto the screen. If you overall look, if you have a, let's say, kind of a glance, you would see that the range is something like this. The trend is something like this. Diagonal. The trend is diagonal. Basically means higher GDP, then lower rating. And if lower GDP, then higher rating. That's how we are able to see in this case. Right? This is something that you might have learned in economics. Demand and supply curve. You might have seen this diagram, right? You had a diagonal diagram for demand and supply. If higher the demand, then lower the supply, and so on and so forth. This is exactly the same diagram. Yeah, inverse. Yes, exactly. Inverse. So basically, this is how a scatter gets created, guys. So all what you have learned in your past education also gets implemented in this case. And simply put, if you want to play around with the data, let's say, for example, in this case, it's overall rating. Let's say I want to see percentage of corruption. You can simply remove overall rating and drop percentage of corruption into it. So you can see there's an option, percentage of corruption. Drop it into the y-axis, you can see how percentage of corruption goes into it. So all these helps you understand how your trend flows into the database. how your trend flows into the, what's the correlation between those two elements. Try it out at your end, guys. Just play around with these numbers and then we will start with our visuals. So take 2 to 5 minutes, understand the scatter once, and then we will start plotting the information. Priyanka, tell me what's your question? By the time I'll take up the questions. You can unmute yourself, Priyanka. Abdul, please go ahead. What's your question? I can see your mic is unmuted. Okay, I take there are no questions then. Great. Please try this out, and if you are able to complete or come up with some of the output, yes.
Sir, I activated the settings, but I'm not giving that shape map.
So after activating the settings, you'll have to restart your Power BI first. Have you done that?
Yes.
Then you should be able to see. Okay, can you share your screen once, if possible?
Yes, sir. 1 minute.
Let me stop my screen. Priyanka, tell me what's your question by the time, if it's an oral question.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, okay, can you go to files once?
Yes.
Options and settings. Options. Yeah, come to securities, right? Scroll down. Field map is there. Yes. Okay, click OK. Okay. Okay, go to file once again. Just one more setting. Let's check that as well. Options and setting once again. Yes, come to preview feature. There also there is a shape map there. Please activate all these checkboxes. If you see, the first one is shape map view.
Okay.
Yeah. So you have to activate these all, including the subcategory, subsection as well. Yeah. Okay. Again, ask you for a restart. Okay.
So again, I have to start.
Yeah, close the Power BI and restart it once again.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you, sir. I will see.
Yeah. Cool. Priyanka, tell me what's your question before I share my screen. Okay, I take there are no questions then. Guys, you can also post the question in the chat in case you're not able to unmute or anything as such. Okay, for sure. Thank you for sure. Oh, no issues. Happy to help. From which? So scatter plot is used for any kind of correlation matrix. Now let me give you an example. Okay, now let's start playing with the data here. Okay, so we have a scatter plot, right? We have country plotted into our output. Let's do one thing. Let's make a proper scatter plot now. Let's make a proper scatter plot. Okay, so here what I would request all of you is please drag healthy life expectation into the x-axis, freedom to make life choices into the y-axis. Healthy life expectation into the x-axis, freedom to make life choice into the y-axis. Basically, I want to see the correlation of a country where is it high. If I let people take decision for their life choices, okay, is their health implemented with it? So I want to have a correlation, freedom to make life choice. If I give them the choice, is their health higher? And I can see that correlation is exactly positive. The correlation is exactly positive. And let's say to get an idea, like to understand the trend in this case, I can simply go to the binocular. But before that, I want all of us to complete till here. Please complete the visual till here. X-axis, healthy life expectation. Y-axis, freedom to make life choices. And the value, you drag country. Once you are done till here, please type done in the chat. It means one. It's not necessary that one will increase and the other will also increase. There can be a reverse correlation also, right? If one increases, the other decreases also. Let's say, for example, if the amount of water increases, then the amount of land decreases. So that's a correlation, a reverse correlation. So when a demand increases, yes, the supply also has to increase. But there are situations where it goes the other way around also. But the scatter plot gives you an idea or an understanding that what is the actual correlation. Leela, tell me what's your question. You can unmute and ask, or you can put your question in the chat. Okay. Done. Perfect. Perfect. I'll just wait for another 15 more seconds and then I'll proceed further. Yeah, in positive correlation, yes. In positive correlation, yes. It increases in both sides. Because the data, the line is in a straight line, right? It's on the right side. So if I have to draw it, it will look something like this. This is a positive correlation where, let's say, if the freedom choice is higher, then health is also higher. This is a positive correlation. Yes. But we need to understand that, right? Because in this case, the data is all scattered. How do I know whether it's positive or an incline? How it is? And plus, adding to it, we also need to understand the pattern. So to do that, we come to the magnifying glass now. So in the magnifying glass, there are a lot of options. One of them is trend line. Just by activating it, I understand that it's not an exact straight positive correlation, but it's a diagonally positive correlation. It's a diagonal positive correlation. So this way I can have informations about the data. If in case you want to have a correlation, constant line, anything as such, you can come here and you can just turn on and off. So simply if you want to have a look, you can just simply turn the option on and turn the option off to have a gauge and have an understanding how the data goes in. How the data goes in. So this way you can also have multiple lines to indicate what's their cross connection, what's their breaking point, break-even point, and so on and so forth. In this case, break-even point is not relevant because end of the day, it's freedom to make life choice and healthy life expectation. If it was order quantity ratio, sales quantity ratio, then definitely there could have been a break-even point. I hope it makes sense to all of us. Yes, no in the chat, please. Perfect, perfect. Now, in this case, I'm showing healthy life expectation with freedom to make life choice correlation. But I also want to incorporate GDP into it. I also want to see whether higher healthy life expectation and higher life choices. Sorry. Is there any question? Okay. So yeah, coming back here. So I want to see whether freedom to make life choice to healthy life expectation, if both are higher, is my GDP also higher? I want to see that correlation now. But if I think of dragging if I think of putting GDP into the size section, it actually gives a very huge chunk of info. So excuse me. Gives me a huge chunk of circles, and my communication is not that good in such cases. But yes, I want to represent these GDP into my output. How do I do that now? To do this, to incorporate a third layer of information, we use something called conditional formatting, where we color the visualization based on a value. Now, let me show you how to do that. We'll do it step by step. So first, we'll select the visual. We'll come to the brush. Okay, I believe Amara shared the attendance in the chat. So I'll give you guys a pause of 1 minute, requesting all of you to please mark your attendance, and then we'll continue. Requesting everyone to please mark your attendance within 1 minute, and then we'll continue. Okay, I hope everyone has done with the attendance. Let's resume back. So yeah, coming back to the output here. So I want to incorporate GDP into my existing output. How do I do that? And to do so, first I select my visual. I come to my brush, the format interface. And then I scroll down and I look for something called markers. Were you guys able to find this? If yes, please type yes in the chat box. If you guys were able to identify the markers, please type yes in the chat box. Perfect. Now in marker, the first section I would request to represent is shape, where you can choose any and every kind of shape from here. If you are looking for a diamond or something that stands out a little bit lower, you can use these lighter tones also. In this case, I'll go with a diamond. Want to increase the size? You can do it over here by positive, like increasing the positive value. The bigger the value here, the bigger the circle size or this diamond size here. The lower it is, the negative. And as you go into negative, the size becomes lower. So let's say in this case, I'll maintain it at 6. That's fine. Next, I come further down. There is an option called color. Let's say one of the main element over here is I want to show only India outside here. Let's say I only want to show India over here. In that case, I'll simply activate show all. That will allow me to see color for each and every country. Now, I want you guys to answer a question. Currently, I have around 153 country list. That means 153 dots on my screen. How will I be able to search India from this list of colors? Is there an easy way that you remember? Perfect, guys. Perfect. Search bar. Exactly correct. So rather than searching manually, just type India in the top. India on the top. Automatically under color, that particular value will be selected. Perfect. It's glad that you guys remember, guys. I'm really glad to hear that. Perfect. In this case, you pick a color of your choice. Let me pick up a darker color here. Let's say a blood red. Okay. And that you can see it gets highlighted on the screen directly. So that way I'm able to make it stand out. That way I'm able to make it standard. So I can see India has been tagged over here automatically. Perfectly done, guys. But then again, I don't want only India to be tagged. Now, the challenge here, what happens is, I've done this purposely because once you tag India, you turn it off, the India color doesn't get resumed back to blue. Because you have changed the color, it stays there permanently. If you want to reset it, there's a button over here, reset to default. You'll have to click on this so that the color gets reset. But the only challenge is it resets everything, including the shape that you have changed. So in this case, I'll have to reset the shape so that I get back my original shape here. Now, once done till here, let's go back again. So I want all of us to reach to this point. Under marker, select a shape of your choice. Scroll down, set a size. Scroll down further, come to color. Just take a pause till here. Once you are at this particular phase where you can see color, just type done in the chat box. Let's not rush. I'll go slow here. Only 2 of you guys are through, waiting for others. Kamju, please tell me what's your question. You can unmute yourself.
Sir,
Yes.
where we can see format visual, I'm not getting it.
You are referring to the shape.
Yes, sir.
So once you select the visual, you would see on the top there are 3 icons, right? So one is add data visual. The second option with a map or like a chart is there with a brush on it. That's a format your visual.
Yes, sir, I got it, sir.
Got it? Okay. Perfect. Now, coming back here, guys. So once you are in this particular phase, now mark it as a ground rule, guys. If and when you see an FX button next to a color, that's conditional formatting. Whenever you see a FX next to a color palette, it is conditional formatting. For example, if I open my X-axis, you see FX is over here also. This is also conditional formatting, but this is for X-axis. Similarly, for Y-axis, there is a conditional formatting. So everywhere, wherever you see an FX next to a color or value, that's conditional formatting. Most probably, you will see it next to color. In this case, as we are doing it for the markers, we are coming inside markers. And when we click on FX, it opens a panel. It opens a panel with the rule dialog box. So on the top left, you can see there are a set of rules, 3 rules. One is, let's say, gradient, which is giving a color range. One is rule when you can build a rule. And the third is actual value, when you can specify a value. In our situation, we'll go with the first one, which is gradient. Now, I need to apply gradient on which field? And for that, I select the second drop down. I have 2 tables. I know that I'll be working on the World Happiness Report table. So I open that. And from this list, from this drop down list, I select GDP as my base value. So GDP value will be considered for the coloring, fine. But what to be done if the value is 0? So I say do not format. I'll take a pause over here. Please complete till this phase. Repeating again. Click on the FX button to open the conditional formatting. Once the box appears, open the drop down. Open World Happiness Report table and click on the field that you want to use as conditional formatting. Then the calculation, in our case, we are going with summation, so we keep it as it is. But the right side, what you want to do for the blank value, in this case as 0, right? We set it do not format. We set it do not format. Means if a value is blank, it will not be formatted. And the last one is provide the coloring, which is the minimum and the maximum value. Minimum and the maximum value. So the lowest value, you can provide a color in this case. Let me go with a light gray color in this case. And the highest value, I'll pick it up. Let's say, I'll go with a green color. Let's say a darker green tone. And to add a mid color, I can add a mid-range output. Here, let's say I'll pick up a red color. So apply this gradient, guys. Apply this gradient. Click OK to confirm it. I'll take a pause here for a minute so that everyone can follow through. I repeat, you don't have to follow with the coloring. Coloring can be your choice, but you will need to have 3 layers. One is low, medium, and high. You may not have the middle value. You will have to activate this checkbox here. Add a middle color. When you turn it on, that's when you get that middle color. So you can pick up any color of your choice. Exactly. Once confirming this output, now your scatter plot looks a little bit more informative. A little bit more informative. And guys, we are not done yet. In this case, if there were multiple years, you could have also added something called play axis. Although in this case, it is not relevant. But if there was a situation, let's say if I have score, right? If I could have add score over here, I get a play axis at the bottom, which I can simply play and I can see the dots getting plotted at every point. Dots getting plotted at every point. This looks like an animation basically. Although not relevant in this case. Not relevant in this case. But I'll show you a different example. Requesting all of you to please complete till here. Let's say in this case, you can incorporate GDP is already a part. Percentage of corruption into the size and then reduce the size. The challenge over here is bubble size or marker size can be reduced statically. You cannot reduce it on an overall range. You can see on a ratio level, you can reduce it. I'll just mute everyone, guys. This is just one layer of the output, guys. I'll show you another layer, then we'll take a pause for the day. This is just basic scatter plot. We'll be learning it in detail in the next session, but this is just the start of it. I hope everyone is done till here. If yes, please type done so that we can move to the next visual. To minimize the size, just come to the brush. You remember under marker, there is something called size. Reduce it down and you can reduce it down to, let's say, whatever number. So let's say I put 35 and I get 35 as the size. So let's say 35 is the lowest. What about 30? Yeah, 30 is the lowest I can think of. Yeah, beyond 30 you cannot go down. 30 is the lowest. I repeat, if you guys are done, please type done in the chat. Now let's try another scatter plot just to understand how scatter plot works with a play axis. So let's open sample data. Let's open sample data here. Let's plot a scatter plot. Now this is just a demo sheet. You will not be using it in purpose. So we'll be deleting it for later. This is just for the trial purpose. So in this case, you will pick up discount into the x-axis, gross sales into the y. Sorry, come again. I repeat, discount into the x-axis. Let me repeat again. I'm using a sample data, the one that we loaded on Friday. So I'm using sample data here, discount into the x-axis, gross pay into the y-axis. So basically, I'm doing a correlation between discount and sale. If I give higher discount, is the sale higher, and so on and so forth. And the value in this case, I will drag date into it. I will drag date into it, let's say. It gives me the full hierarchy. I'll have to change that to standard date. I get the plotting or dot plots over here. So every data gets plotted over here. Every data gets plotted over here. You can pick up any and every hierarchy and you can play with this information. So country, city, location, month. So let me pick up a date over here. That's my entire dot plot. I repeat again. After plotting the data, just drag a date in here. Go to the down arrow and set it to date. That's it. Okay. Once you get the date, now you have the play axis. Now you have the play axis. Put year into the play axis and check out the play button. You would see the animation changing to 2 years. And the best part here is when you click on a circle, it shows you the trend as well. If any of the data is coming from a previous month to current month, it shows you that trend as well. In this case, there's just a few dots. So let me change this to, let's say, product, or let's say, yeah. So if I put a product over here, I can see how the product moves, right? So by clicking on this dot, I can see the trend of that particular product. It's an uptrend or a downtrend, from which point it has been come up. So it shows me that impact. The scatter plot is useful if we know how to use it extensively. I repeat, guys, if you're not getting date, no worries. Pick up any other field. Pick up any other field and plot it into the value. With anything and everything you drop into the value, you get the parameter based on that. Let's say if I drop month name, if I drop month name here, I get the month name plot. I can click on play here and you can see the impact. Same, you can click anything into the value field and it gives you the reaction to that output. To get the play access, you'll have to incorporate or drag a value into play. In my case, I've dragged year. You can drag discount band or you can drag section, country, anything. Whatever you drag in the play axis, that information gets plotted. So now if you see country is my play axis. If I play now, it shows me at a country level how the data has been flowing through. And again, if I click on a circle, it trails down the entire path. It trails down the entire path. This is like Superman's villain. Superman, if some of you guys might be familiar, right? Superman's villain laser goes all the way around, right? The same direction. It's exactly look like that. Please give it a try at your end. Just click on any of the circle. It shows you exactly how the trend was for that particular month. I repeat, we will be learning a little bit more detail about the scatter plot. This was just to help you understand the parameters and the frames. A sample is something that we have loaded on Friday. If you have loaded the World Happiness Report, then you will not be getting the sample data. So that is one of the reasons we have loaded sample first and then loaded World Happiness Report. So in that case, you will have to first delete World Happiness Report. Then you will see the interface. Please refer the last video. You'll get an idea. So the interpretation of the trend is basically to help you understand how the market, or in this case, how the overall crowd is going. For example, if I give high discount, is my sales higher? Or if I give low discount, is my sales higher? How it works? Because if you understand, sometimes if you give a higher discount, the people lose trust in the product. They start doubting the product, that why are they giving so much discount? Is there any default in the product, or is there any fault in the product? So that helps us to understand what is the trend of the market, and that's where the sweet spot comes in the picture. If you realize, when you go to a mall or anywhere, max to max you get a discount of 40%, 40 to 50%, and very rarely you get a 60%, 70% discount. Because we are in a world of sweet spot where 30-40% discount is something we feel is good. Anything beyond 60-70, we doubt that product. Is the product good? Is the product bad? That's the psychology, and to understand that psychology, scatter plot gets utilized to an extent. I hope that answers your question. Okay, guys, that's about it for the day. So we were able to stretch a little bit today. So, but really thanks for that. I hope today's concept was a little bit clear to all of us. And as always, please, before I conclude today's session, in the scale of 1 to 5, please rate today's session.
Thank you, sir. Today's learn something more.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Amar, if you're there, over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
So guys, I already shared the attendance thing in the chat box. So mark your attendance and give your valuable feedback. I'm sharing it once again. And if you have no any query or question, you can drop. Priyanka, you have any query? Yes, guys. So that's for the day. We'll meet on tomorrow at same time. Bye, everyone. Good night.